Either we heal as a team, or we're going to crumble. Inch by inch, play by play, till we're finished. We're in hell right now, gentlemen, believe me. And we can stay here, get the shit kicked out of us, or we can fight our way back into the light. We can climb out of hell. 1 inch at a time. You know, when you get old in life, things get taken from you. I mean, that's part of life. But you only learn that when you start losing stuff. You find out life's this game of inches. So is football. Because in either game, life or football, the margin for error is so small. I mean, 1/2 a step too late or too early, and you don't quite make it. 1/2 second too slow, too fast, you don't quite catch it. The inches we need are everywhere around us. They're in every break of the game, every minute, every second. On this team, we fight for that inch. On this team, we tear ourselves and everyone else around us to pieces for that inch. We claw our fingernails for that inch. Because we know when we add up all those inches, that's going to make the fucking difference between winning and losing. Between living and dying. I'll tell you this, in any fight, it's the guy who's willing to die who's going to win that inch. And I know if I'm going to have any life anymore, it's because I'm still willing to fight and die for that inch. Because that's what living is. There's 6 inches in front of your face. Now I can't make you do it. You got to look at the guy next to you. Look into his eyes. Now I think you're going to see a guy who will go that inch with you. You're going to see a guy who will sacrifice himself for this team because he knows when it comes down to it, you're going to do the same for him. That's a team, gentlemen. And either we heal now as a team, or we will die as individuals.
Ideas are bulletproof.
Welcome to the show, guys. It is Wednesday, July 27th, 2011. This is Down the Rabbit Hole, and I'm your host, Popeye, from FederalJack.com. Today I'm joined by my good friend, JJ, who's got his own show on the Orion Talk Radio Network, and JJ's been on a 2-week hiatus, so he decided to come on the air with me tonight and talk to everybody and say hello. JJ, say hello.
What's up, everybody? Not only have I been on a hiatus, but I haven't watched TV or even had internet till Tuesday, so I didn't even hear about Oslo or any of the new stuff until the other day.
JJ's been out in the wilderness, as it were. And we're also joined by, I have an awesome guest today, guys, for you. He's been in the music industry for over 20 years. He is one of the most vocal proponents of truth in the music industry, and he's got a brass set of balls that wouldn't fit in a dump truck. So without further ado, let me bring on my guest, Mr. Paul Topete of Pokerface. Paul, say hello.
Hey, man, what's up, dude? That was a great intro. I think that was one of the better ones, man.
Well, I mean, you really have, in the music industry, there's not many people that are vocal and speak the truth, and you're one of the, your band and you in general are one of the most vocal proponents of truth. So, thank you for
beautiful man with a beautiful message.
Thank you for putting your rear end and your career on the line, to stand up for what's right. That takes a brass set of balls in today's world. So thank you, Paul. I appreciate what you do.
Thanks, brother. Thanks to both of you guys because you let folks like us know that we exist. And I know we're all part of the many member by the Church of Freedom, man. It takes all of our participation to make it happen, man. So
yeah, very true.
We're all important cogs of this revolution.
Very true. We all play an important role. Paul, for the listeners that don't know, what woke you up? What was your waking point where because you used to do regular you know, I guess you could say kind of like pop type music or whatever. And then you guys, you know, you and your fellow bandmates had an epiphany and you guys just started completely pumping out truth and hardcore stuff like that. What made you make that transition?
The actual, like, the straw that broke the camel's back, it was a series of abuses on our government over We the People. And it was the 1-year anniversary of Waco. And just sitting there and listening, like, we did it for the sake of the children. Yeah, burn down the church at Waco and watch, you know, men, women, and children from all different races burn because you got to do it for the sake of the children. And disgusted me, the first song that came out was America. We were already recording our second disc called Next, and halfway through it, it's a whole nother band, and the message is completely different. And we stayed true to that path ever since, so we're just fine-tuning what we do now.
Yeah, doing this kind of music pretty much makes it so that you got to do a regular job. You don't. It's going to be hard to make music your career when you pump out truth music, America's protest music. You know what I mean? And we thank you for that.
You don't get the accolades that a Nickelback will get, even though we were, you know, mentioned with them as up and comers before, you know, they broke big, and we had labels out to see us in New York, but they wanted us to tone down a politically incorrect message, and by then it was a deep ingrained part of us, and it wasn't going anywhere. So we've been part of terms of mass culture, pop culture, Judeo culture. We've been relegated to, you know, nothing mainstream, and if they do, like a Steve Colbert report, it's only to try to muddy us up or muddy others up, like the Knife Creek Machine Gun Shoot or Rand Paul or anything that was conservative and to the right.
What do you think? What's your take on this whole Oslo bombing? You know, lone shoot, you know, quote unquote lone gunman shooter. What do you think of this whole thing?
I think it's punishment, you know, of Norway by Israel for them even thinking of giving statehood to Palestine, as well as having the audacity to boycott Israel. Several other companies and industries have started a boycott, and the Labour Party, which is a big political party in Sweden or in Norway, had called for the boycott, and some of them even calling for the bombing of Israel if they continue to build in Gaza illegally. So this guy, you know, was talking to the EPL, the English Defamation League, and, you know, he's a super uber Zion-Nazi, Judeo-Mason, Darwinist. You know, they try to paint him as a right-wing Christian, and there's nothing right-wing and there's nothing Christian about him.
Not at all.
Yeah, there's nothing
I think he's
Christian
an MK
about
Ultra victim, man. Yeah, he's an MK Ultra victim, man.
I agree. If you look at his face. It reeks of total programming. You could just see it in his eyes. They have
look at his gear.
They have that dead-like stare to him. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, he's like smiling with like a happy smile, like I gotta kill some folks today. But dude, I heard multiple shooters, and this guy supposedly had a truck bomb that, you know, the windows blew from the inside out because there's charges in there. It's like Oklahoma City all the fuck over again, man. I mean, come on. How many times we got to be deceived and the same fucking play go before Thumb wakes the F up and go like, hey, you guys already tried this one on us, man. We're awake this time.
Set up from the get-up.
Yes,
yeah,
it's
man.
a complete setup.
Hey, you think them kids were a message to their parents?
Parents to the country, from Israel to them. It's like, look, dude, you don't veer from our Zionist plan, man. There'll be Zog, Zionist-occupied government everywhere. And if you go and think that you're actually free, we'll spank you and use the media against you because we own it or our tribal brothers own it.
Well, see, it's amazing what happens when you stand up against Zionism, and I myself, you know, and I have an insider's view of it because I'm of Jewish ancestry, and I actually had family that was rounded up during World War II. My grandmother, I've talked in there before about how my grandmother had her face beat in because she refused to watch the Nazis assassinate somebody literally right in front of her and everything else. And I get really fed up when I see these Zionist scumbags using what really happened and twisting it and turning it to, poor us, we're victims, so we have to bomb all these innocent people into submission, and we have to torture people. and we have to rape the United States government and the people of the United States because, let's face it, they don't have enough money, quote unquote, to pay the veterans and the old people their Social Security checks and their benefits checks, but they certainly have billions of dollars to give Israel and to bomb Libya and to go into Iraq and Afghanistan. We've given in foreign aid alone just to Israel. And I'm not Israel bashing because we give other countries trillions of dollars too, but just to Israel, we've given 4 times the amount we spent on the Apollo moon mission. I mean, that's just crazy. It's insane. Guys, we're going to break. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
These wars have cost us a couple of $1 trillion so far.
Game over. I ain't even drank nothing, but I got a hangover. First I was drunk from the lies they were feeding me. Then I sobered up and realized.
Welcome back, guys. I can tell you, I wish somebody would tap me on the shoulder and wake me up and tell me this is all a bad dream and it's been a crazy nightmare that I've been living all these years. The only problem is that's not the way it is. It was the other way around. I was living in this fantasy land, and all of a sudden I got tapped on the shoulder, and I turned around and nothing was as I thought it was. That's the real way it is. Those boys that made the Matrix, they knew what they were doing. So, welcome back, guys. I'm hanging out today with JJ Inc. and my good friend and musician Paul Topete. And Paul, your band Pokerface, you guys are a very well-known band. You guys aren't some ragtag little group. You guys are, well-known around the world, not even just in the U.S., but the world over. What kind of response do you get from the fans now to your music and stuff?
What's growing us is, like you said, we love the truth, man, the whole truth and nothing but the truth. And, show us the evidence, man. We're all about it. And when people try to shove something down our throat, it feels like an agenda, then we're going to call you on it. And, we're not up for the programming. We're not up for the political correctness. I got to say, I saw this movie, I rented last night called Stone. And it was Norton, De Niro, and Jojovic. And in the Bollywood movie, everybody that was in jail was mainly white, and mainly skinheads. I was like, what jail does that happen, man? I mean, the political correctness is so bad in Bollywood that they try to, prisons are mainly, black Hispanics and whites, but mainly blacks. But in Bollywood, it was mainly whites. And the race stuff by the white skinhead having to kill a blackie in front of Ed Norton. And he had an epiphany from it. And it's just like, it's such blatant in all the film. This is not the America that our forefathers lived and died for. This is a nightmare.
Well, it's crazy how
multinational corporate.
It's crazy how they take the movies and the TV shows and they get everybody. You notice they put the race baiting in there, and they want people to take sides and to take racial pride, and it pushes people. It kind of instills and programs that idea into people's heads, and they know what they're doing.
Programming.
Yeah, dude, totally.
It's programming.
It's complete programming. They know what they're doing. They're trying to keep. It's on multiple. There's multiple things that they're getting across. It's not just one thing. They're race baiting.
No.
They're getting people to think that they're vilifying white middle class people pretty much, because that falls in line with DHS saying, hey, the terrorists are white middle class Americans. Those are the people you got to be careful of. You got to worry about the people that are pissed off about the World Bank, and anybody that says get out of the UN, or if you say 9/11 was an inside job, or if you don't agree with what Israel's doing to Palestine, that's it. You're now labeled a terrorist. Even if you're white, middle-class American, it doesn't matter. The people that have not experienced what all these other people have gone through, like the Irish, the Chinese, black people, anybody, American Indians, or I don't like to call them American Indians, I like to call them natives, but anybody, what the different Latinos, what they've gone through and how they've been used and scapegoated. Now middle class white America is going through the same exact thing. And I have noticed since Obama got in, I said this the other day, have you noticed that since he got in, if you look at the commercials on TV, it's always like you'll have like a middle or upper class black family, and the person working in the ADD commercial is a white guy or a Hispanic guy.
Yeah. He's dumb.
So now everything is switched. So now it's white people and Hispanic people are evil, and it's trying to program that idea into people's heads. I mean, that's the way my view on it is. They're trying to race bait everybody. They're trying to keep us arguing amongst
by
each other.
By small differences, instead of us putting that aside and saying, hey, let's come together on the majority we agree upon, that they're screwing us all together collectively.
Exactly, because they know that people are starting to realize it doesn't matter if you're black, white, purple, red, you have polka dots. We're all humans, and we need, it's us versus them, and they want to exterminate us because they look at us like cattle, and they realize that if we all wake up, that's a bad thing. So they put out this race-baiting crap in TV and movies, and, I have a lot of friends that they're very smart people, but one of my really good friends, he's like, it doesn't matter. And he said to me, man, Popeye, it doesn't matter what Obama does bad. He's the first black president, so I have to support him. And my friend's a black guy. And I was like, so even if he's bad and he does stuff that is horribly wrong and illegal, you'll support it because he's the first black president. And he said, yes. And I was just, I was in utter amazement how I was looking at how these elites, this New World Order, their plan completely worked. At least on him anyway, because there you go. You have somebody that this guy could bomb children into oblivion all over the world. He's the only, you've never seen a white president bombing Africa. We didn't start bombing any countries in Africa until Obama got in office. And people have said it before, he's the only president that could get away with doing that because he's got dark skin. And I'm not being racist when I say that. It's the truth. He's being used, and racism, racial pride is being used. People's racial pride is being dude, black people are being played with Obama, and anybody else that the white people that get that liberal guilt pumped into their as they want to call them or whatever, Latinos, black people, whatever, they owe them, for slavery and everything else, especially the black people. Look, I've said this before. I didn't kill anybody. I didn't take part in any slavery. Okay, I find that kind of behavior abhorrent, and if I ever saw somebody, with a quote-unquote slave, I'd smash the guy's head in.
That's right. I've never oppressed, repressed, or suppressed anybody.
Exactly. So I'm not responsible for it. What happened was horrible, and if we could change it, we would, but we can't. So let's learn from it so it never happens again. But let's stop harping on it and running around with this fake guilt. At least that's my take on it. What do you think, Paul?
Dude, I'm like 10 years already fed up with this political correctness BS. It's like, that's not America. I have the right to be offended, and I have the right to offend. If people don't want to listen to me, turn me off, or don't come to my shows,
Absolutely.
I agree. First Amendment, man. The First Amendment is there to protect unpopular speech. And it's because popular speech doesn't need to be protected. Think about it. If everybody likes what you're saying, no one's going to say, hey, shut him down. The First Amendment, I think the First and Second Amendment are two most important amendments because the first one gives you the right to voice your opinion, and the Second Amendment gives you the right to back that up. Gives you the
power to keep it.
Exactly. It gives you the authority to protect yourself. Not that I need
well, you know what?
Paper.
You just said the key word right there. You have the right, the organic right to protect yourself. And if our government, our quote government, was worried about our protection and our safety, why then would they want to ban guns from legal, law-abiding citizens and make it so that only cops and criminals have guns? And cops are the biggest organized crime syndicate in this country. They are like a giant street gang.
Without a doubt. They're the most heavily armed street gang in this country. Well, And I'm not bragging on police, but you know the problem is 95% of them are crap now, and there's only about 5% that are good. All right, guys, we're going to break. We'll be back in a few minutes. We got to pay the bills. Go check out the website of the network, the new website of the network, I should say, OrionTalkRadio.com. Check out my website, FederalJack.com. We'll be right back.
Sick of seeing troops sink to die for your lives. Spending dollars in debt, we holler in protest till we have your arrest. We will not rest, and we know what you did that day. Kill your own citizens to advance your ways. All my real patriots stand up and say 9/11 was an...
Welcome back, guys. Paul, during the break, we were talking about Freedom Palooza, and we actually promoted it for like a month or two. We had the commercial going on that Payday Monsanto would put together. You guys had a pretty big outdoor event. How did it go out there in Pennsylvania?
For first year, it was pretty cool because we had some great speakers and some great bands. Huh?
Oh, JJ was out there, right? You were out there with him, right, JJ? Hmm? Didn't you go out there yourself?
I parked the cars.
You went. And
Yes, we did, brother.
So you were staff. You actually worked.
Yeah, it's the first time I didn't have staff surround me and escort me out.
That's kind
Dude,
of
that was great, man.
How you got any more big events like that coming up?
Well, we're going to shoot for next year and maybe make it a 3-day festival, same place. The owner was really happy with us. We got this place nicer than anybody else that rented it.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, that's cool.
Plus, we ate at his restaurant, too.
Yeah. Johnny Mac and Grill, or Johnny Mac's American Grill, he was really chill. He provided the food for the fest.
That's cool.
It was a great event.
So it's going to be like a bigger event next year?
God willing, yeah, brother. You know, we're
going to start promoting it now.
Wow.
Well, that's actually a good thing. It's better to, you know, that way you got a year to hype it up and a year to work out and adjust everything. That's cool. You're going to have speakers and everything again. You have any upcoming gigs or anything? Are you playing anywhere?
Yeah, another one that I believe James is going to join us at is up in New Hampshire, Jaffrey, called Live Free or Die Festival. And we'll be
They
playing...
had cannons there last year.
Yeah, they're pretty cool, man.
Are they... What kind of... is it like a multi-day festival or is it like a one-day event up there?
It's like a 2-3-day event. They have something downtown, and then they have bands for a couple days and nights up at the lodge. Yeah, look up Mike Coutu, Coutu, and Live Free or Die Fest. And I think, you know, if you live in the Quad State area, please make it out. It's a great event.
That's awesome.
It's a true First Amendment event.
Same thing, bands and speakers and stuff like that?
Not so many speakers when the bands are playing, but the speakers are down in the town below, and that's
Oh, that's cool.
Saturday
It's actually like two separate events. So you have like speakers and then you have the bands playing their own thing. That's even better because then people can see the speakers and then go chill out and see the bands.
Yeah, the band, it was cool. Both formats were cool. At Freedom Palooza, they had band, speaker, which was great. It all came off without a hitch. There was a lot of good speakers. James
well, that's
Rapp
actually a good way to have. That's a good thing to have because you get, you know, you have the band come on and get everybody riled up and hyped up because music is one of the only things that makes both sides of the human brain fire and function at the same time.
And that's it. And after a good speaker, a band like Pokerface, Paul and the boys, Brett and Dennis, they put on one of the best shows. And I've seen several of their shows, many of their shows, and I believe they did. They had one of their best performances there. And then out at the Live Free or Die Festival, the bands are at night, you know, and it's around a camping area, so you can camp there. I had a great time last time, and like I said, they had cannons, man, freaking cannons. Everybody there was open carry. It was a great time. There was no shootings. There were no fights.
But see, that's why, because everybody was open carry and armed. So, you know, an armed society is a polite society, dude. If everybody's carrying a gun, you're not going to have beer muscles. You're not going to have people mouthing off You're not going to have. I mean, if somebody gets too drunk, they should. If there's beer and high copious amounts of alcohol involved, maybe that moron shouldn't have a gun on him anyway. But
three other people with guns will make sure he stays in check.
Well, exactly. That's the point.
There's always going to be.
If he gets out of hand, you can have somebody go over and be like, "Yo, you got to relax," And it's not really the gun that does it. You know what I'm saying? If the guy did something bad and shot somebody, it wouldn't be the gun's fault. I've said this 1,000 times. Spoons don't make people fat, and pencils don't misspell words. So how do guns kill people?
Exactly.
It's the person kills the person. And if you took the gun out of their hand, they would use a screwdriver, a rock. What happens if the guy didn't have a gun and he still drank the same copious amounts of alcohol, but nobody else has a gun? Right? Nobody's armed, and homeboy picks up a rock and starts smashing people's heads in with it. Well, now it's going to be hard to stop him because now you got to go find a rock or something bigger, and then you have to find a couple people to go find rocks. Whereas if everybody just had a gun, that wouldn't happen to begin with because the guy would know better.
Well, you'd be able to protect yourself. Somebody that did. They're never going to get rid of all the guns, guys. That's the problem. All they're going to do is make people who follow the laws or who obey and who have respect, defenseless.
Well, you see, that's why I don't agree with gun control. You know what the perfect gun control is? The person's taught how to use it, and the severity of a weapon and what could happen if you play with it or do something wrong with it. End of story. That's gun control. You teach them to control the gun when they're shooting and how to aim it, and to always be sure that if they draw their weapon, you don't just flash it around and everything else. I grew up in a house that had guns in it, and I knew where my father's guns were. Most of them were locked up, but he kept one in the nightstand. I knew it was there. I knew not to touch it because my father would sit down and expose it to me, And I'm sure you had the same. You sound like you had the same kind of upbringing where like your parents weren't afraid to show you stuff like that, correct, Paul? Like were you shown guns when you were a kid?
6 years old on my grandfather's farm. My older brothers were plinking cans, and the first time they ever put a 22 in my hand, and I had a blast, man. But they showed me how to be respectful of it, and I treated my BB gun the same way when I was not with my brothers and didn't have real firepower. So when you're taught properly and correctly, or you're taught the respect of it, then you don't do stupid stuff unless you purposely want to hurt somebody. But again, it could be a 5-gallon bucket of water you can drown them in.
Exactly. You could pick up a pail, fill it up with water, take somebody and force their head into it and kill them because you would cut off their air supply. What are you going to do? Ban 5-gallon pails and water? I mean, it's just it's asinine when people come out with we need to ban guns. Look, the guns didn't do it. Maybe we should approach the behavior. Maybe we should figure out why they're doing it. Why?
Maybe you shouldn't run your mouth unless, you shouldn't just walk around trying to impose your will on people. Because that's when you end up having to back your own play, when you're out there trying to impose your will.
That and their whole system and, the way they've engineered society is creating the problem, and they know this. They know this. Look, these people are like social engineers. They know what they're doing, They know that by putting out the propaganda, like we were talking about before, the programming in movies and stuff, not only is the race baiting, it's also, hate anybody that likes the Second Amendment, hate anybody with any right wing, if you want to call it that, or conservative type values. Those people are bad. It's ridiculous. And now with this Oslo crap, they're using this myth that this guy's a Christian conservative when apparently even his friends are coming out and saying no, this guy was definitely not a Christian. He was a Zionist. He had a lot of leftist ideology. Which they're trying to deny. The same thing they did with Loeffler when he supposedly shot. Giffords in the head. They did the same thing with him. They tried saying he was a truther, he was a Tea Party guy, and it turned out the guy was a complete liberal. He hated the Tea Party. How you know
what they're doing now? What's all over? What they're playing. They're showing the text messages from some of the kids. It's all over. They're really playing this thing to the hilt.
Of course they are. They're trying to scare the crap. It's the
Sorry,
fear.
Mommy, I love you, even though I'm bad sometimes. Oh, well, don't worry. Just go hide. Go hide. Please, baby, I love you. And it's all over.
It's
in
the
America, they're
fear.
eating it up.
It's the fear. To quote a line from the movie V for Vendetta, when he's talking to the two cops, okay, he's dressed up, he's got the mask on, and he's explaining the story to him. It's about halfway through the film. He's explaining to him what happened and how they engineered a false flag event in their own country. And he says the genius of the plan was the fear. The fear was the best part of the plan because that was the most powerful part. That was how they got everybody to listen to what
Let us
they
never
wanted.
tolerate outrageous
Because they
conspiracy
scared the
theories
crap out of them.
concerning the attacks of September the 11th. Malicious lies.
Just your
that
right
attempt
talk
to shift
radio
the blame
network.
away from
They
the
use guys
terrorists
like this
themselves,
moron that you're listening to right
away
here.
from the guilty.
People are always asking
Moron
me,
Bush.
Yo, Gemini,
We're going to break. We'll
what's
be
your
right back.
angle?
Stay tuned
Are
for
you
the
a
final
devil or an
segment. We're
angel?
hanging out with Paul
And I
Topete
say
of Pokerface.
as I continue to blame the Knights Templar and the Hospitallers, the real reason New York lost their towers. Don't sit back or hesitate to react to the impact. Many taking a nap. In fact, they would fake an attack to make way for the Patriot Act.
Welcome back, guys. It's July 27th, 2011. It's Wednesday edition of Down the Rabbit Hole. This is the final segment. I'm joined by Paul Topete and JJ Inc.
The infamous
The
JJ.
Yes, the infamous JJ. JJ is still alive, listeners. A lot of people were worried, JJ, that they hadn't heard Hide or Hair of you in like 2 weeks.
They were hoping.
Yeah, see, JJ
Sorry,
does 3
sorry
shows
to
a week.
disappoint.
JJ does do 3 shows a week, people. So just in case anybody that doesn't understand why some people were worried, because JJ does 3 shows and all of a sudden he just wasn't on the air.
No.
So some people were worried that maybe JJ got whisked away, and I said no, he's fine, and he did not quit. So
No, I didn't.
and
I
he's
just-
still here, and he'll be back.
Because of this, I got great friends. Paul Topete, dude, you are a great friend, beautiful man. Listen, these guys play anywhere. If you got a message of freedom and you can get them there, these guys will play. I really respect them, and I'm glad. I will always be.
Yeah,
anywhere.
if anybody knows a booking agent or anything out there, and you guys, or if you're listening and you are a booking agent, because I know people all over the world listen to my show. So, if you guys, if you are an agent of some sort and you need you book gigs, you should really check out Pokerface. If you have any balls, at least. If you don't, then don't even bother, because I'm sure Paul will set you straight within 3 or 4 seconds. So don't even bother wasting your time.
Somebody called them a heavy metal band.
I really, I wouldn't consider it heavy metal. I would.
They're
consider
good hard rock, man.
Yeah, hard rock.
And they're tight. They have a good sound, good message, and they've got a good little crew of guys. The Amaros, the Tank. They've got a good crew of other bands that will go around with them. So they're a ready-made event. So put one together.
Yeah, put an event together and invite Pokerface, and if you guys have if you guys have an event,
I'm not going to have them up for a keg party though. I'll have a real event.
Yeah, have a good have a screening, or if you're going to have like a like an event like Paul puts together, do stuff like that.
Totally out Pokerface pocket.
Yeah, check them out, because they I got to give them credit. They really do a lot of stuff. They try to inform the masses, and they it's not like Paul has like some corporate backing or anything like that.
Brother, we're the people, by the people, for the people.
Where can they check you out, Paul? I know you got a website. Go ahead and plug your website and plug whatever upcoming gigs or anything else you want to plug. Go ahead.
The best way to get a hold of us is go to pokerface.com. Hit the contact. We answer every email. Our fan base is very different because it's very educated and we're very informed of what's going on in America. We have another cool gig coming up at Mount Creek Machine Gun Shoot, which is 14th, 15th, and 16th of October. And that place rocks, man.
I am so going to try to make it this year.
Awesome.
Yeah, that is an event I wish I could get to, but I can't. I can't even afford to get up to 9/11 this year because I'm having issues in my personal life with my piece of crap vehicle. And
I knew you were going to cop out on me.
Well,
dude.
it's not really a cop out, but it was a choice of not having a vehicle to get back and forth or take a trip. So I had to sacrifice the trip. But I'm trying to organize something special down here in Florida. I'm trying to organize like a huge screening / DVD giveaway. So if anybody down here in South Florida or Central Florida has a place that they want to maybe just donate the space, and if we decide to charge, like the only thing we would charge is maybe $5 a head, so you're not really going to make any money on it. It's just a matter of I need the space for a couple hours. I have all the pretty much everything. If it has a TV screen or a projector, that's a plus. But if someone is into freedom and stuff, and believe me, we'll give you kudos and mad advertising for giving us the free space. But if you can, if anybody's got a free space, contact me at info@federaljack.com and let me know, because I could greatly use the space. That would be awesome. I'll provide the DVDs and everything to give away to the people, but I would really like to do something to wake up the masses down here in Florida. There's going to be a decent event in New York, and I would love to be there. But since I can't, I would rather use that time when people are focused on what happened to educate them. So, and if in the future I ever get a big enough event, Paul, I will definitely call you guys up and bring you down. But right now I'm trying to just go for a screening space and / free DVD giveaway. What are you doing for September 11th? Are you going to New York?
There's always that possibility. There's a group that are trying to do something that has nothing to do with Alex Jones, and we'll see if we do something with them. So keep an eye and ear out for it.
And
cool.
If you're not with the king of infotainment, dude,
Yeah.
It'll be good, though. It's all right. It'll be good. I recommend everybody do what you can.
Yeah,
there is
honestly,
no right. There is no wrong. The right thing to do is whatever you can freaking think to do.
You don't have to run to New York either, for September 11th. Hold your own screenings. Have your own events. Put it together. It's not that hard. I've sent out over 100 of those hard drives that I make. So I know they're floating around out there. Grab
That's a terabyte of info too.
2 terabytes. All you got to do is take a laptop with maybe a couple movies in a video format, plug the laptop into the projector, and it's not going to lose any of the quality or anything. Okay, it's all set up that you won't have to worry about that. So just as long as it's a decent quality video, you play it in Windows Media Player and it plays it on the projector. That's how they do it at colleges and stuff. It's not that hard. Try to organize something at your local library if you can, or your school. Talk to your neighbors. Put the message out there. Put it on Twitter. Hey, I'm looking for a place. You never know. Somebody might respond. Put it on Facebook. If everybody went out and did their own things, especially for September 11th and the John F. Kennedy assassination, it's very important to remind people about that too, because every time I do something with, the JFK assassination, like I just interviewed Lee Oswald's girlfriend, Judith Farry Baker. Okay? And I had people were like, "Oh, Popeye, why do you care about JFK? That was so long ago." Because that's
the same people that 9/11, man.
Yeah, exactly. The same people that did it are responsible. And they're like, but who cares? Because that stuff is super important for people to understand how 9/11 could even happen. You have to understand, you have to go back 40 years so you can understand how everything changed. You can't...
Exactly.
JFK, RFK, MLK.
Well, see, they killed Bobby because Bobby was going to...
He was going to reopen the investigation into his brother's murder.
Oh, dude, without a doubt. he was going to open it. He said to LBJ, "Why'd you have my brother killed?" See, a lot of people don't realize that if there was a second Kennedy term, Johnson wouldn't have been the vice president. He would have been arrested and in jail because of all the corrupt things he was involved in.
Along with George H.W. Bush.
Yeah, Bobby Kennedy was working when he was the attorney general on putting the then sitting vice president in jail. You don't see that kind of crap now. And don't get me wrong, again, I'm not saying the Kennedy brothers were perfect, but that takes a brass set of balls for the attorney general to be going after the vice president. You certainly don't see that kind of crap going on anymore.
Not anymore. Exactly. They're under control now.
Well, you know what? Even Judith made this comment during the interview that it's like it lines up with what Bill Hicks used to say. You know, when the new president comes in, they bring him into a room, and they show them a never-before-seen angle of the JFK assassination, and they don't say anything. They just play it, and then at the end of it, the lights come on, and they say, "Any questions?"
Nope.
You know, and it's incredible, dude. You have to understand that there was a coup d'etat in this country, you know, over almost 50 years ago now. And until people respect that and understand what happened then, we can't understand why we have the kind of government we have now. You know, the beast that, you know, 9/11 occurred because of, you know, if JFK had not been assassinated, just think by that act alone not happening, how different the world today would be.
We'd have treasury notes, probably wouldn't have that many FRNs out there anymore. We would have the CIA disbanded.
Well, there wouldn't be a CIA. You know, the CIA would be gone. You know, who knows? The Vietnam War never would have happened because he was bringing home all those troops. So that, you know, this kind of stuff is important. You know, and the things that have happened since then have all kind of spawned off of that event. So to me, it's a linchpin event, just like 9/11 is a linchpin event. You know, that's my
Absolutely.
That's my personal opinion. And you know what? Since nobody else and not many people really talk about JFK, you know, since I've come on air, I have done a bunch of shows about it. And every time I did a show and every time I aired an interview with anybody about JFK, it's never been some slap-together show. It has always been super informative. And I always tell people where to go check the stuff out and everything else because nobody really wants to talk about it. There's not many, you know, documentaries out there about it. There's not many people that talk about it. So I do what I can.
Jim Fetzer loves to talk about it.
Oh, Fetzer.
And incidentally, guys, one of these days real soon, I'm going to have him on the show, and we're going to talk about the Lockerbie bombs.
Yeah, he's
so
Pokerface,
awesome. Pokerface.com, guys. The 6th annual Live Free or Die Fest. Thanks, Popeye, for having me on. Paul, I'm
no problem, JJ. Paul, thank you.
Thanks for having me. Awesome, brother. We'll do it again.
Go check out Paul's website, Pokerface.com.
Of our government over We the People, and it was the 1-year anniversary of Waco, and just sitting there and listening like, we did it for the sake of the children. Yeah, burned down the church at Waco and watch, you know, men, women, and children from all different races burn because you got to do it for the sake of the children. And disgusted me, the first song that came out was America. We were already recording our second disc called Next, and halfway through it, it's a whole nother band, and the message is completely different. And we've stayed true to that path ever since. So we're just fine-tuning what we do now.
Yeah, doing this kind of music pretty much makes it so that you got to do a regular job. You don't. It's going to be hard to make music your career when you pump out truth music, America's protest music. You know what I mean? And we thank you for that.
You don't get the accolades that a Nickelback will get, even though we were, you know, mentioned with them as up-and-comers before, you know, they broke big, and we had labels out to see us in New York, but they wanted us to tone down a politically incorrect message, and by then it was a deep ingrained part of us, and it wasn't going anywhere. So we've been part of, in terms of mass culture, pop culture, Judeo culture, we've been relegated to, you know, nothing mainstream, and if they do, like a Steve Colbert report, it's, man, that's wow, dude, that was a great intro. But I think that was one of the better ones, man.
Well, I mean, you really have, you know, in the music industry, there's not many people that are vocal and speak the truth, and you're one of the, you know, your band and you in general are one of the most vocal proponents of truth. So, thank you for
Beautiful man with a beautiful message.
Thank you for putting your rear end and your career on the line, to stand up for what's right. That takes a brass set of balls in today's world. So thank you, Paul. I appreciate what you do.
Thanks, brother. Thanks to both of you guys because you let folks like us know that we exist. And I don't know, we're all part of the many member by the Church of Freedom, man. It takes all of our participation to make it happen, man. So
yeah, very true.
We're all important cogs of this revolution.
Very true. We all play an important role. Paul, for the listeners that don't know, what woke you up? What was your waking point where because you used to do regular, I guess you could say kind of like pop type music or whatever, and then you guys, you and your fellow bandmates had an epiphany and you guys just started completely pumping out truth and hardcore stuff like that. What made you make that transition?
The actual, the straw that broke the camel's back, it was a series of abuses.
Either we heal as a team, or we're going to crumble. Inch by inch, play by play, till we're finished. We're in hell right now, gentlemen, believe me. And we can stay here, get the shit kicked out of us, or we can fight our way back into the light. We can climb out of hell. 1 inch at a time. When you get old in life, things get taken from you. I mean, that's part of life. But you only learn that when you start losing stuff. You find out life's this game of inches. So is football. Because in either game, life or football, the margin for error is so small. I mean, 1/2 a step too late or too early, and you don't quite make it. 1/2 second too slow, too fast, you don't quite catch it. The inches we need are everywhere around us. They're in every break of the game, every minute, every second. On this team, we fight for that inch. On this team, we tear ourselves and everyone else around us to pieces for that inch. We claw our fingernails for that inch. Because we know when we add up all those inches, that's going to make the fucking difference between winning and losing. Between living and dying. I'll tell you this, in any fight, it's the guy who's willing to die who's going to win that inch. And I know if I'm going to have any life anymore, it's because I'm still willing to fight and die for that inch. Because that's what living is. There's 6 inches in front of your face. Now I can't make you do it. You got to look at the guy next to you. Look into his eyes. Now I think you're going to see a guy who will go that inch with you. You're going to see a guy who will sacrifice himself for this team because he knows when it comes down to it, you're going to do the same for him. That's a team, gentlemen. And either we heal now as a team, or we will die as individuals.
Ideas are bulletproof.
Welcome to the show, guys. It is Wednesday, July 27th, 2011. This is Down the Rabbit Hole, and I'm your host, Popeye, from FederalJack.com. Today I'm joined by my good friend, JJ, who's got his own show on the Orion Talk Radio Network, and JJ's been on a 2-week hiatus, so he decided to come on the air with me tonight and talk to everybody and say hello. JJ, say hello.
What's up, everybody? Not only have I been on a hiatus, but I haven't watched TV or even had internet till Tuesday, so I didn't even hear about Oslo or any of the new stuff until the other day.
JJ's been out in the wilderness, as it were. And we're also joined by, I have an awesome guest today, guys, for you. He's been in the music industry for over 20 years. He is one of the most vocal proponents of truth in the music industry, and he's got a brass set of balls that wouldn't fit in a dump truck. So without further ado, let me bring on my guest, Mr. Paul Topete of Pokerface. Paul, say hello.
Hey.